Hey everyone, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I have my May reading journal update to share with you. And as always, I'm so excited to share it with you. I love this project so much. And like I say every month, I think I've really found a system that really works so that way I can stay on top of this project because I do really like tracking my books. I actually always have ever since I was a little girl. I would keep little pieces of binder paper to like track how many days it took me to read a book. So in May, I read 9 books and I now have almost 3 rows of books for my 2022 books. I decided to put In the Weeds on the top shelf where the Sabrina drawing is sitting, and then I added the rest of the books to my shelves. So if the book was a longer book, I'll pick a thicker width, if that makes sense, for where I put the book title. And if it's smaller, then I will pick a smaller width book. After this, I will do the Goodreads challenge, and I pick a really fun bright yellow color to color in my 9 books. So I am just about now at this point in June, I'm almost at 50 books. So that is really exciting, and I just continue to love reading. I'd love to know where you guys are at for your yearly challenge. That would be really exciting to know. Okay, so for reading stats, I read all paper books this month, for May. As far as I can tell, if I remember correctly, it's all paper. There was no Kindle. I also decided to add in 4 romances, 2 thrillers, and then 1 adult. I also added in I for In the Weeds. I was going to say In the Woods. No, In the Weeds. And then N for The Night Shift, which was a really surprising thriller type book that I really enjoyed. Okay, so for the next Year of Smut challenge, it's like 1 of 4. I have 3 books. The first one is In the Weeds, A Bearded Lead. My friend Jen, Mrs. Boom Reads, she sent me a copy of the book and I was so excited. If you read Love Light Farms, it's from that same author and it's just an incredible book. I'll talk more about it in a faves video, which is coming hopefully soon, but that is going to be a faves book. Same thing with Hook, Line, and Sinker, and also Book Lovers. All of these books will be my favorites, and I am just adhering them to a white piece of paper and adding a flip so that way you can still see what the category was, and also so I can add my stars. Now, when I went to go stamp my stars for In the Weeds, I accidentally picked the wrong star, or I don't know. I couldn't remember where I put the star that I normally use. So it is this massive star for this piece of paper. So I'm just haphazardly stamping stars all over this because it really was a 5-star book, if not more. 10 stars probably. I decided to change my icon, how I stamp. So it's not going to be a star. It's just going to be hearts. And it's really small, so it works a lot better. And so I'll probably use this heart going forward. And so I gave Hook, Line, and Sinker like 4.5 stars, and Book Lovers, of course, 5 stars. Now I can move on to building my calendar for May. With the calendar, I've kind of figured out that I count to the 3rd dot, draw a line, and then I go in 4 dots and draw a line. And each line horizontally will be 3 dots and then draw a line. So I'm kind of getting the hang of this calendar, but my weekend boxes still wound up a little wonky. Like my Saturday box is going to wind up really skinny, but and like I always say, my friends, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? So I am drawing my lines, and I'm going to have to add in a 30 and a 31 in a little bit. But again, it really is just drawing a line, counting 3, and then drawing another line. So it's like every 4th dot I'm drawing a line, and then I can add in the Monday through Sunday. I know that seems so backwards from most calendars that I see, Sunday through it's usually Sunday through Monday. But for Project Life, I've always done Monday through Sunday. So that's what I'm going to stick with. And I write out the days and grab a pink marker and add a little circle up in the top right-hand corner. I use the same Loopy font for the stamping of May, and I decided to go with the colors of green and yellow and pink. I thought that would be a fun color combination for May. I also am going to go into my die cuts and kind of see if there's any that I want to use. I thought about using that bright yellow washi, but I don't know. It was too bright for me, so I went with a more subtle yellow washi. And like I was saying, I'm going to go into my die cuts in just a little bit and try to figure out if there's any that will work for this spread. Tried something a little different, I guess, with my designs. It's different than other months is that I put 2 pieces of washi up in the top left corner. So I really liked those, just kind of dropping down. I thought that would be fun. And I also really wanted to add in a little bit of pink somehow to the left-hand side of this page. Okay, so now I am drawing my little circles and counting the days. I'm always double checking myself when I'm making this calendar because I want to make sure that I get all the days, right? So I'm going to write out all 29 of the days, and then I'll add in the 30 and the 31. I didn't want to try to squish them in, so I'm just going to add in 2 boxes. And then I will try to figure out what kind of stamps I want to use to decorate my page. For my stamps that I pick for the left-hand side, I've actually figured out that I have not repeated a single stamp for my monthly opening pages, so that's really cool. I picked this die cut that is red. I'm going to admit it's red, but it had a pink heart, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use it and ignore the red. I'm not going to use the red. So I used that die cut and then a green one that says bookworm. Put the number of books, 9, and then the other big large sentiment that I was saying that I haven't repeated any large sentiment at all. It says, this was a good read. Over on the May side, I added in currently reading and then a few of the books. I'll finish up this monthly spread with some stamping of the greenery. Well, finish it up as far as the stamping. I still have to add in the days that I read the books. I also took my leaf stamp and added some to the top section of the calendar where there is no dates. And it made for like a fun section of like peekaboo stamp greenery. And a great other point for my visual triangle. Added in another stamp that says in my happy place, so now I have 2 stamps that have a box around them. I finished up with a little sprinkling with another stamp that had some dots and X's, and that way I could add in the yellow. So that is my monthly spread, and now I have to just add in the days that I read the books. So started off the month with kind of a different book called Perfect on Paper. Sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, leave a comment if it does, but when you get a library hold and you finally get it and you're like, wait a second, how did I find this book? That happens to me. Like I told you, I researched my books, and so I get some books and I'm like, wait a second, how did I get that and why? That was with Perfect on Paper. I was like, how did I get this and what? I was a little confused, but I enjoyed it overall. It was a pretty good book. And then after that, I read In the Weeds. I also read Absolutely True Story of a Part-Time Indian. Now that book I thoroughly enjoyed. It was for the Bloom Challenge. I forgot to include that, but I later found out the author did some really horrible things. So I was kind of mad at the book, mad at the author, disappointed, and just, I don't know, I felt kind of hurt because I really love the book, but the author is just no. Let's just put it that way. So I have all of my dates written down and all the books, and now I can use that to refer back to when I write out the dates for all the stats. So starting off with the same formula with the washi up at the top, 2 big strips of washi, and then I will stamp all the stats and going again with the yellow and the pink and the green. I'm excited to do this color combination. This time I paid attention to where I'm going to stamp all, because I knew that I was going to use 2 flowers from my stamps to add some flower clusters. Stamp all the stats, and then I will add in my flowers and figure out how I'm going to position my books, because I know that only 4 can go across, and I'm going to probably have 4, 4, and then 1. So I'll just have to figure it out. And I'm sure 1 at the very bottom is still going to look fine. So I stamp a yellow flower over by the all and also by the stats. I'll also add in a pink flower. So 2 different types of flowers, 1 pink, 1 yellow, and it looks very May-ish to me. I always think of pink and yellow for May. So these are all my books together, and like I said, it's going to be 4, 4, and 1. Pretty great month for reading. Later on, I am going to make one of the boxes for the special stats that I've talked about. One of them is going to be romance, and I am not considering Sadie on a plate a romance. It is categorized everywhere as a romance, but to me, it was not a romance. That was very much a side piece of the book. To me, it was much more about the food competition. So I'm rebelling and calling it not a romance. I also read The Night Shift, which was a thriller, and it has to do with the 90s. I don't know. I love reading books about the 90s, and it was a murder in Blockbuster, and it was a fabulous book. I absolutely loved it. If I could make a favorite page about that one too, I would, but then that would be 3 or 4 for the month of May. And I told myself I can't get carried away, so I'm trying not to get carried away. Okay, my yellow ink would not stamp this box that I use for my lines, because this stamp is so dirty and used that the yellow ink just won't work with this particular yellow ink. But it will work for most other inks, like this pink. So I went to my back of my journal where my scrap page is, and I just cut out a pink line and glued it over the top, and now you can't tell that it was a boo-boo. Oops. I stamp out the pages that I read, 3094, and now I will stamp my boxes, because I was originally going to stamp everything with yellow, but since my yellow won't work with this particular stamp, I'm going to go ahead and just do pink. And that works. Stamped out 4 boxes, and now I have room for my genres. I'm using 2 pieces of scrap paper. That way I can just get the lines that I need and not necessarily the corners of the boxes. It's kind of a quirky way to get my lines for my stats pages, but I started in January, and gosh, I am just going to keep going with that theme. So I have paper and Kindle, as always, and for genres, I've selected a few: queer, New York, art, books about books, mystery, thriller, and food. I wish I could include all, but I can't. For romance, like I said, it's going to just be 4 instead of the 5. And then I also picked weekend start. My husband switched shifts, so now it's me and the kids on the weekends, and we go to the park a lot. So I'm starting a lot of books on the weekend. So I put weekend start, and I started 4 books on a Saturday. I don't know. I just noticed that when I was doing my calendar. So I decided, hey, that could be a category. I messed up on my yellow flowers, so I went back to the scratch piece of paper in the back, stamped those yellow flowers, and fixed the one over by the number of pages and the one over on the right hand side. It's just that particular yellow ink. It's like if your stamp or my stamp is really dirty, it is not going to make a great impression. Okay, so stamping out my numbers for romance, for started on a weekend, 9 paper books, and 0 Kindle. Going to stamp out my book rating for each of these books, then find a green marker to fill in the rating. I wanted green because I knew that I was going to once again use the greenery stamp set, or not the greenery stamp set, the stamp with a little vine leaf in it. I'm going to use that again to continue the same theme. So I filled in all of my green ratings, and then I will add in the dates that I read the books. I know that's kind of similar to the calendar, but for me, it just works, and I really enjoy seeing the calendar and also the stats on the right-hand side. I just love seeing all my books. Another fun book that I read that was a little different was Woman on Fire. I don't remember how I found that book, but it was really great and had a lot of different characters in it, and I just really enjoyed it. It was very different for me. Adding in the green pieces, leaves, and that is going to be wrapping up this May spread. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing another month of my reading journal come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you're new to my channel. All right, I hope you have a great day. Bye.